What's up, folks? I got to do some debugging on the NASA Landsat data processing pipeline, so I thought that I'd do that debugging with you, and then you can see how I debug and maybe, hopefully, help me figure out what's going on here. So I can link you to a video in the description that is a longer introduction to what this is. But essentially, I've got a Python application. It's responsible for pulling down images from the NASA Landsat satellite servers and then processing that data, particularly for earth science researchers, taking the processed data and putting it on a citizen science platform called the Zooniverse, where people can help the researchers look at the images, look for strange things in the images, classify the images, and otherwise basically help complete earth science research. So we have a version of this application working, but what is going on right now is that previously the integration with the NASA Landsat service was working, and now something about it has either changed or something's missing. The app's not exactly working, so I'm going to show you what I'm seeing, and hopefully we'll be able to figure this out. So let me share my screen with you so that you can see what's going on. How do I do that? Like this. Okay, so this is my application. As you can see, it's Django REST, and what we're doing right now is we're submitting what's called an imagery request. And the thing about the imagery request is that this is how earth science researchers would go about saying, all right, well, this is the imagery that I want. I want it from this WRS Rowan path. Those are another way of specifying locations on the globe. You're probably familiar with latitude and longitude. And I want it to be from these specific satellites. I want it to go to the specific adapter. They could specify how much cloud cover they're willing to accept. They could specify how many results they want, because these files, they're big. So let's see here. So this is what I'm getting right now when I try to run that. And it is saying none type object is not subscriptable. I could show you where that's happening. Let me go ahead and run the application to show you that this is occurring, and then we can get into why. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to back out to right there. I want to run a pipeline, and then I want the USGS adapter, Landsat 8C1. Let's say 45% of the images are maximum cloud cover. I only want a maximum result of 1. Reason for that being these images are huge. I'm going to put this thing somewhere near Veracruz, which is going to be row 47, path 23. I happen to know that. We're using example image project, and we are going to be using the FF custom pipeline. We can get into what all of that is later, but it's not really relevant to whatever's happening right now. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to clear out my logs right here. I'm going to go over to the server and clear out the logs. So this is the worker thread, and this is the server logs. So if we run this command, so we can see that the request was made right there. And if I go over to the worker, what I see is, so I'm already printing out this search result. We'll talk about what that is in a second. What I am seeing is none type object is not subscriptable right here. The place where that's happening is in the Eros wrapper, line 45. So let's take a look at that. The Eros wrapper wraps is a class that we use to integrate with Eros, which is the service that we get these Landsat images from. Let's take a look at that. So here's the Eros wrapper, and if we go to line 45, what we see is if none type object is not subscriptable, the place on this line where we're using a subscript is right there, which means the data is none right here. We also know that because we print it out right here on line 44, and we look at our printed values up here, and we see, do we see data? We may not. So we've got search. Where is that happening? Let me find that like this. Search. Search. Pull this up a little bit. in string constants in the adapter. So that's where search is happening. And then arrow wrapper.search is getting called. And we initialize data right there, and then we say while data last record is less than data total hits. So that should always be true at this point. We search. We take our search starting number, so let's take a look at what our starting number is. Looks like maybe that's not here. While data last record is less than data total hits, so this should be true. Search starting number, and that's what we pass in here. So let's just make sure that that is in fact what we passed in. Yes. So let's go ahead and do this. Move it in here, so we can be sure that that is indeed what's happening. I think it is, but run this thing again. Pip-end run server, pip-end run worker. All right. Run a pipeline. Adapter name. These things. This 14723 example FF custom. Great. So now so there's search. It's exactly what we expect. So here's what I'm actually gonna do. So I want this. Here's our data, by the way. As I was saying before, you could see that it's none. Maybe it was there and I just wasn't looking closely enough. So here's what I want to do is I want to pull this up in a Scratch file and take a look at it like, nope. This is what I want. And let's go here. There we go. And then I auto format this. What do I see? Dataset name, additional criteria, filter type, child filters. Cool. So this should be true. And then search starting number. Should be equal to data next record. Well, data would have to be modified for something to be in here because next record isn't in data. Oh, duh, yeah, it is right here, 0. And then, okay, so starting number is going to get set to 0. So then the way that this is going to get represented is like that. Okay. And then this is apparently going fine. What is search? Or maybe it's not going fine, but this is where we're getting hung. So let's take a look at this. So we've got this response coming back. And it's none. That's what's none right here. So something's happening in search once. Let's take a look at response. Search once response, because maybe it's nothing. Maybe it's nothing. Let's find out. Because that'll at least help us narrow down the problem. Bum, 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 boom. Running our server, running our worker. Let's go make our request. Bum, bum, bottom. $47.23. All right, what we got? Error code unknown. Error empty response from API. Data none. API version. So who's responsible for coming up with this response? It's the result of this post. To that URL. And to this specific version of the URL. So the fact that we're pinned to a specific version tells me this, at least it shouldn't be, that the API changed. Let's go take a look at this. I don't know that we're actually going to get anything out of this, but let's see. So what happens if I do that? What happens if I do that? Oh, is it that I need to sign in? All right, I am going to turn off video for just a second and get in here and figure out if it was an authentication thing. But I will be here. You can look at me while I do this. How about that? All right, so I'm going into my password manager. Signing in. So, I mean, I'm seeing an API deprecation notice. But the thing is, the thing about that is that it shouldn't be deprecated until December 2020, so it doesn't explain why it's not working now. And also, we have the version pinned. All right, I'm going to show you my screen again. you can see what I'm talking about. So we have this API deprecation notice. I mean, I don't think that this should fix it. Let's try it again now that I'm logged in. Ideally, that shouldn't work. Because then what I think might be happening is we may need to be authenticating in the app or not. Which doesn't explain why it was ever working, frankly. But that's none of my business. I guess I don't really need to rerun anything since all I did was log into the thing. I hope that wasn't the problem, kind of. All right, let's put in all of our attributes again. 23. Example image. All right, I see the request. And the failure, if I'm not mistaken. All right, well, to be honest, I'm glad that wasn't the issue. Empty response from API. This might have to do with the fact that we're not authenticating. Because I feel like we're not. And it says you have to. Which doesn't explain why it was ever working. Hold on. I'm not sure this is going to turn up anything, but just in case. Yeah, I had a feeling. User authentication is a crucial aspect of the service to provide download and order capabilities. Now, here's what I want to see, is under search once. So we do search once. That's our response from search once, right? So we go to search once. We do eros post. Wow. So we have to authenticate, I think. But do we? I'm not convinced we do. Because when we come up here, search once, search. Right? Oh, this is not the thing where you do it. Hold on, let me back out of that. Search once, eros post. And this is the thing that takes authenticating. Well, what happens if we just do that? And then honestly, I also am in, what? I'm also interested to know yeah, so we stick in a token. Which we get from there. Oh, and here's where we get the username and the password. And then we do Eros prepare. Well, let's just see what happens when that change is made. Come down here. One. We've got this in our red. Still an empty response from the API. So here's what I want to do now. WebStorm, no. Here, I want to go get the search once. I want to print search right here. And we're going to make this call manually. Yeah. Get rid of it there. So we know that data is none. Try this again. Okay. USGS 147.23. Not that any of this matters because it's going to fail immediately, but okay, so this is our request that we're making. So if we go to Postman, and we give it a raw body of all this stuff. Is that what it is? Search before, search once. Yeah. I think this has to be JSON. Currently, it is not JSON because it is a dictionary. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to put it in here. We're going to get all of these and replace them with double quotes. And then we're going to make this easier to read. We're going to steal this. We're going to stick it in here. Then we're going to go get the URL. PyCharm. Get the URL, and then we're going to get this post. What do we think these new args are? We'll come back to that. We want the API URL. Where does this URL come from? Let's go look at where we call Eros post. So it's all this /search. See what happens. Oh, it looks like maybe we are authenticating. Input format, because our error then is that the API key is required and was not found in the request or the XAuth token header. So if we get XAuth token, XAuth underscore token. Wonder if we do that in our code base. If we don't, we do it that way, and this thing suggests that it's supposed to be underscore, but it was working before. Where does this token come from? All right, let's do this. We're going to find out if we have a token. Here, let's do this. Where is search? So it looks like we try to do this, and then a call is getting made. Let's do this. Token. Token. All right, once again, I'm going to turn off my video for this. Or rather, turn off my screen sharing. All right, let's see how this goes. Cut the worker, cut the server. Do it again. Now we make our request. So I'm seeing can only concatenate string, not none type to string on the line that says print token : token. So it looks like maybe we're not getting our token. So let me put the video back on to show you this. This is what I'm seeing. Let me make this a little more so you can see it. Are you able to see that? It's hard for me to tell. Yeah, it looks like you can. Okay, so maybe we need to be getting the token here. But it looks like we're not. So let's see if connect is being called. Print connect called. Print cached token. And I think that that's probably going to be empty right there. And then print token response respose. Response. All right, let's see how that goes. All right, we got our server, we got our worker. All right, this might show the tokens, so I'm going to flip off the screen thing again for just a second while I look at this. Interesting, so we're getting a token back. Connect is called. The error code is none. The error is so let me show you what I see. So let me show you what the token response is. The way that I'm going to do this is I'm going to anonymize it by coming in here. And saying alright, so now I'm going to show you what I saw. So this right here is what I got. Error code is none. The error is whatever. This empty string. And then the data had a token in it. And so what I want to do now is figure out whether using that token works on the API. So this is what I'm going to do now, is I'm going to turn you off one more time. I'm going to go get the token. I'm going to go into Postman. I'm going to make the same request again. And it's still saying API key is required. So let me put you back on. We'll see what the docs have to say about this. Okay. Oh, it looks like it is x-auth-token, which is not what the error message says. Hold on a second. Let me try one more time. Error message very clearly says x-auth_token. Interesting. So now let me make this a little smaller. And I'll show you what I'm getting now. It says a required field dataset name was not found in the request object. Which I find weird because it's right there. I can't imagine this is the problem, but does it have to be like that? If I take dataset name and I put it in like that, is there a difference there? I don't think so. A required field dataset name was not found in the request object. Which is altogether different from the result we're getting over here, which says empty response from API. What is going on? Oh, whoops. Because here's the request object. And there's dataset name. I got a question. If we do this exact same thing with 1.5, what happens? Unconfigured version. How does it want you to do this? A successful login will return the API key that you need to supply. That's fine. And then data downloads. Migration guide. Search, it looks like, is now scene search. Oh, you can see your request. Or maybe you can't. There we go. So you can see, it doesn't tell you what URL it's to, though. What is the URL? Does the JSON API reference tell me? Oh, I was already in the JSON API reference. Well, let's try it. Like this, scene search. I think it's like this. Unconfigured version 1.5, guess not. How are you supposed to use this? What's the test page? Scene search. Or you can put in your parameters in here. Alright, well, let's try this. Dataset name, Landsat 8C1. And then I don't see an option for additional criteria. So this might be a straight up API and migration situation. That doesn't explain why the previous one is broken, though. Hmm. Because see, in our previous one here, we see additional criteria. We don't have that here. All right, if we go to scene search again, I don't see additional criteria. Oh, this looks like the results, not the request. Here's the request. Dataset name. Maybe this is how we have to filter now. Oh, wow. So it looks like we might have to change the structure of our filters. All right, let's back out of this. Search. Where was our, like, try it thing? We're already in this. This is scene search. Where did I get that test request? Oh, this is how I can do it. See how search isn't even an option on the stable release? I don't like that. Alright, so we got max results 1. Let's make our starting number. What did we say it was? 0. Then we have child filters. And for the scene filters, we want to go back and look at this. Because we have here ingest filter, spatial filter, metadata filter. We have spatial filter, which I think we want. What are the different filters that are available? Is my next question. How do I figure that out? Let's also look at these exception codes and see if we can find ours. It doesn't look like this is going to be helpful. I thought that maybe putting in like whatever our error code here was would work, but I don't see that. Oh, you can get a script download. You actually can't, but we're back at the test page. Well, let's do this. What happens if we just submit this? Submitting. Some stuff came back. So we theoretically want, so this is now stable. Scene search. I still get endpoint does not exist. Oh, it's API. Oh my gosh. Okay, hold on. Let's try that. The specified URL can't be found. Well, how about you tell me the whole URL then? Oh, maybe it's this. Nope. You gotta give me the whole URL. Let's go look. Yeah, it looks like that's what it is. Let's see if it comes back. It did. Let's try to put this in our Postman. I'm not impressed. Nothing. I wonder if it's because... Okay, if we do this... instead... Right, no filters. Okay. Then we take this out. What happens? Specified URL cannot be found. Still. Alright, so I don't think upgrading the API is the answer anymore. I want my old request back. Because at least with this, we were getting a response. And it was this. A required field dataset name was not found in the request object, which is bull because it's right there. But at least something was coming back. And as a matter of fact, this is not the result that we are getting. Because we're seeing empty response from API. Just check it out. We see this error code input format. When we look at the error codes, if it wants to take us there, an unknown error occurred. Full details in the developer log. Interesting. And then this one says, the one that we're getting in Postman says JSON payload could not be parsed as valid JSON, and it's not clear why that's happening. I would argue that that should actually be this one. So what I think I'm actually going to do is I'm going to cut the stream and I'm going to send them an email and see if they can help. So I'll go through this process. It makes me sad though. because I'm not sure why that would be happening, especially given that this was working. Okay. Well, I'll figure it out. Actually, you know what? Let me just do that email on stream, so you can see how I would do it. And let's do it this way. All right. So our subject's going to be empty response from API. And we'll say also, what is it called? EarthExplorer. EarthExplorer. First of all, thank you for all the work you do on creating an open API for us to get scenes from satellites. I have an API call that worked correctly for about well, how long has it been? A year and 6 months, about 18 months to download images, download Landsat data from the service, and lately it has stopped working. Can you please help me? Here is the request that I sent. Post to this. Let's make sure that's the case. Yeah. And then the body is string before search once. So let's do that. Here's the request that I sent. Whatever it was supposed to be. Yeah. Here is the response that I received. Wherever it is. No. This. All right, so let's make sure that we got everything they wanted. Experience issues, please contact. When reporting, please include your request response, the IP address of failing request. Request response, we got that. Any additional error information, we may better investigate your issue. We know this was formerly working. Okay, IP address of the failing requests. What's my IP? Thanks. My IP address is, and I made several of these requests on August 6th, 2020 between let's say, so it's 1 p.m. right now, which makes it 2 p.m. on the East Coast, noon and 2 o'clock, 12 and 14 Eastern time. Thank you in advance for your help with this. I'd really like to get the pipeline up and running again so our Earth science researchers can continue to use Landsat data to conduct their research. Thanks. Sincerely. Alright, so now I'm going to go into my email client and send this, and I'll let you know what we get. See you later.